I had a request from a commenter to do a little video on the bamboo I have growing in my woods. This grove is not the one in the woods. This here is the one I started 9 years ago, and it is very full, and I believe the perimeter that goes around here from the back all the way around the other side is 100 feet long. So it's completely all filled in. It's that thick. So I started this with a couple different types of bamboo. You can follow along with in the playlist if you want to know all the types I have growing in here. But mostly right now it's incense bamboo, and that was started from just one little clump in the middle, and I also started some moso from a single seed in the middle as well, which grew, but it doesn't exist there anymore that I can tell. I think it died off from the winters. Even though it did grow some pretty big canes, it was only a couple of them, and then eventually they stopped growing. So anyways, you can see that how big this grove is after 9 years. Now let's go in the woods here and I'll show you what it looks like there. You can see I have a deer here. She'll leave as soon as I walk up. So we're gonna walk back here. We're gonna take a look at the bamboo I transplanted into my woods a long time ago and talk about the differences of how quickly it grows in the shade versus the sunlight. So over here, you can see this bamboo growing right in here. Right about here, I planted a little clump of bamboo. It's not clumping, it's running type, but I believe this is yellow groove. And I planted this right over in here with a little clump of it, probably 2 or 3 canes coming out of it. And I took it from somewhere else, not too close to here, many miles away, but I transplanted it. I planted this here 10 years ago, before the grove. And you can see here that it's just this little section here, and then only the last year or two has it spread over to here, and there's a couple new canes coming up here. And then there's some coming up next to the tree right here. Well, that's it. There's a little tiny section over there as well, but that hasn't really spread hardly at all. That's still in the same exact place I put it. And there's a couple of canes here coming up behind me, very sparse. And as I said, this is all yellow groove, and the yellow groove, I'm pretty sure is a pretty aggressive spreader. And the reason why I know that is, without even having to look it up, is because I had this planted in a sunny area before I moved it, a year before then, and it spread really quick. The runners went under the ground and started coming up like within 6 feet of it within the first few months after it was transplanted in the spring. So it grows really fast. And but you can see here, there's just this little spot here with a couple little canes coming up in this section here. We're only talking, I don't know, maybe 10 feet from here over to here. This is as far as it's spread. And it hasn't spread very far because this whole area is in the wooded area and it's been shaded for so many years. And only recently, since we've lost a couple of trees back here, we have an opening. And since the opening started, it started spreading over a little more this way and a little more that way, and a little more this way and a little more over in this direction. There's a couple of canes coming up there. That only happened recently. Otherwise, it's been sitting back here for the past 8 or 9 years, pretty much just in that spot without spreading at all, simply because there just wasn't enough sunlight. And that's why I said in my previous video is that I'm not too worried about my bamboo grove spreading into the woods or anything, because once it hits the shade, it really isn't going to grow much at all anymore in that direction anyways. It's going to spread towards the sunlit area, which is up the other direction. Now over here, I have this clump right here. That is incense bamboo. And I planted that there a year or two after I started the grove. So I took a clump from the grove and planted it right there. This whole area back here is always wet. This is a low spot, and the water runs down from the land down this way. And incense bamboo can tolerate very wet conditions because it has a hollow core in the rhizomes. So I planted it here because I figured, well, this whole area has nothing else really growing in it. Most of the trees in the wooded area fell down back there, and I figured maybe this will have a chance to grow. Well, that whole clump there has been there that many years. It's been like 6 or 7 years now since I put it there, and that hasn't really grown any more new shoots, maybe a couple. And then it started spread up this way. You can see these coming up over here or in that direction. It spread a little bit in the first couple of years this way, but hardly any canes came up. And then recently, in the past year or two, more canes started coming up over there. And that's simply because we now have an opening over here since a bunch of trees fell down. I lost willow trees and some other stuff had fell down back here. So now we have this sunlit area where the bamboo is now growing. Bamboos, there's not a whole lot of bamboo that will actually grow into a shaded area. They'll grow a little bit, but they won't grow very aggressively. As you can see, all this has been back here for a very long time, and then this stuff here has been back here for longer than my entire grove. And as you saw, the whole grove is pretty dense, pretty thick, pretty tall. And it did not take that much time to really, it didn't take that much time to actually grow that much. So that's about it. Just wanted to make this quick little video here kind of showing that and the differences between bamboo growing in the sunlight versus the shade.